empower ourselves to say, you know what, no one has the same body as me. I gotta learn what is happening in my body, because that's the one I have charge of.
I love it. We're going to have you back on the show. Thank you so much for being a part of the show tonight and helping us educate people in a new, fun way.
Take care.
All right, straight ahead, Dr. Lori Shemmick's coming up. We're going to be talking about food addiction, binge eating, and overeating, and the mindset that might be behind it. But first, let's listen to another song by Kelly Clarkson, who says that junior high and high school were some of her favorite times. This song's called Nostalgic, courtesy of Sony Music. Welcome back to Diabetes Late Night. We're talking about binge eating, overeating, food addiction. My next guest is Dr. Lori Shemmick. She's an internationally known speaker. She's also an author of several great books. I love to go to her website every night, and I follow her on Twitter all the time. Please welcome Dr. Lori. Hi, Dr. Lori.
Hello there. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing well. You know, this topic is so emotional to me. I'm tongue-tied and talking too fast because, you know, I saw my former boss, Luther Vandross, deal with his day in and day out, and it was so hard to watch someone who was so successful in so many parts of their lives struggle in another part and really not know how to help them. You know, and you've been hearing the conversation tonight. I'm curious to know what you've been thinking as you've been listening to the show.
Well, I've been thinking that I love the messages of, you know, empower yourself. I love the message that you can do something about it, and you can. You can actually get off your medication if you follow the right protocol. And you know, like it was said, when you pay attention to what's going on with your body, when you get the right foods and you exercise, you're going to create better insulin sensitivity, and that's a great thing. I've had many clients get off of their medication and go on live a healthy, happy life. So even though you can't cure it, you can absolutely live without medication, like a normal person.
Specifically, we're talking about medications for people living with type 2 diabetes.
Right.
So, but let's talk about this because it seems a lot to do with the mindset. We heard our last guest talking about coping with diabetes. So this whole coping idea, it seems to me, you know, there's a lot of shame and blame associated with these things, like why am I binge eating? Why am I overeating? Why am I a food addict? Why can't I stop? What's wrong with me? You know, that negativity, I'm sure that doesn't really help someone who's trying to get out from under.
Absolutely not. You know, that's an incredibly articulate comment and poignant, because the problem is, in our culture, we define success, unfortunately, by the way we look, okay? And so if your success is defined by your ability to fit into society's unrealistic, and I'm quoting that, expectations of perfection, then you're going to be disappointed with yourself. And that's the problem. We have many women and we have many men that feel shame about the way they look. They're not happy with the way they look. You know, our culture, especially Western culture right now, really does drop down on their knees for really thin people, extreme thinness, in fact, and our culture tends to devalue inner beauty, and that's what I think is really important. Everywhere you look, you see where it's aesthetic. The valuation comes from the way you look, and you see images that are being changed with Photoshop, for example, all over the place. And then you get these brave souls that say, you know what, I don't want my image photoshopped. I want people to see how I really look. And this has become, more of a trend, which is a great trend, in my opinion. So in our society, wherever you look, whatever TV show you're looking at, the message is very clear that you can never be thin enough, and this leaves people feeling unhappy about the way they look.
Absolutely, and then, we go after those people. Amy Schumer on SNL this weekend went after the Kardashians. We all know about Kirstie Alley's yo-yo dieting. My idol, Richard Simmons, apparently won't leave his home because he might have gained weight, and people are making jokes about it. I mean, it's just so interesting that, then we target people too, right? So if you're not feeling good about yourself, and like you said, there's so much pressure to be airbrushed at all times. People are having their faces reconstructed because of selfies. How do you get past this when you're watching some of your, Winona Judd? I mean, we were talking about Kelly Clarkson at the top of the show. This album came out. She's like 30 pounds heavier than she's ever been, I guess, in her career. And the British journalist went after her and said, that's not baby weight. That's like, weight from pastries and cookies and blah, 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 and just said, how could she look like such a cow? I'm paraphrasing, but it was that kind of statement.
Right.
And, the thing is, like, if someone's deep down in the struggle listening right now, Dr. Lori, and they really, they don't want to leave their house because they feel that people are looking at them and seeing their size, and they're somewhat ashamed, perhaps, about it. What can they do? What's the first step that they should be thinking of trying? What do you think they should do?
So there are many people that feel hopeless, okay? They feel that they could never feel good, and that this type of body that they desire will never be a part of their life. And that's how they're looking. But there is hope, and they do have power. We have the power within us to create the life that we love. And I say that often. If you listen to my interviews, and I even put that in my latest book, you have the power within you to create the life you love. So what do? So number one, you acknowledge that you notice, for example, that I feel fat feeling. A lot of people say, God, I feel fat. And the first thing to do is to recognize that you're having that feeling. And then the second thing is to realize that fat is not a feeling, okay? It's just a thought. So thoughts are just that. And the more we step away from the thoughts and dismiss them, the less entrenched we become in them, okay? So, and then, what you want to do is you want to remind yourself constantly that, I have this negative voice that tries to disrupt my happiness with this intrusive messaging, if you will, about negative body image, about, I have big fat thighs, and I've got, this stomach that won't go away. It's knowing that you have a choice in how you respond to those thoughts, okay? Remember, this is all about empowerment right now, and it's about taking action, okay? If you notice, this is all about literally taking action. So start small with some of the things I'm going to tell you, and then add on, because it won't happen overnight. Change takes a little bit of time. So when you get that fat feeling, it's easier just to feel that, I feel fat, and be discouraged and unhappy about the way you look, as opposed to identifying maybe what is really going on inside me that is triggering this feeling of, because remember, it's not about so much outside as it is on the inside. We want to empower who we are and the internal beauty that we have, because we are all worthwhile, valuable, beautiful people, okay? And many people are walking around feeling that they're unhappy and miserable and not beautiful enough. So we want to empower the inside, the beauty on the inside. So make the choice. We always have choice. And once we do know we have choice, what we want to do is we want to make a decision. We want to choose not to feel badly anymore about the way I look, okay? So you decide to do something and do something different. And sometimes, in my experience, a decision is really all it takes. So No one's forcing you to hate your body. And the decision then, from then on, is to say, you know what? I love the way I look, but I'm making a decision to make some changes. And then you start shifting the focus. And you decide, well, I'm not going to listen to those negative image thoughts, those body image thoughts anymore. I'm not going to dwell on it. I'm going to shift my focus onto something else. And this is a key point, because the more you do this, the easier it becomes. And it happens relatively soon. It doesn't happen overnight. But if you stick with it, if you're tenacious, it will happen for you. And it becomes second nature, just like brushing your teeth. And one day you're going to go, wow, I went through the whole day without feeling bad about myself. Isn't that great? I looked in the mirror and I didn't feel bad about myself. So remember that when you shift your focus, things start to change for you. Even right then, things start happening. The more you focus on something like fear or a body part, the larger it becomes in your life. And then also, I'd like to say to appreciate who you are. Think not so much about how you look on the outside, but more importantly, how you feel on the inside. It's very important in order for us to have a quality life to really nurture the inside. And just as much as it is to take care of the outside, we need to take care of that inside too. And redefine your definition of beauty. Make it where it's good for you, it's something that you love and that you want to embody, and that will empower you. And then last, I really want people to stop comparing themselves. It's easy to do, but always know, again, that you have the power within you to create the life you love. And if you focus on somebody else, on what they have, it takes all of the power away from you.
I think that's amazing. I just sat taller in my chair.
Oh.
I think what you said just, I really wish Luther could have heard it, and I'm sure you would recommend that no one go through this alone. I mean, anywhere in these steps,
exactly.
You can absolutely consult with an expert like yourself or someone in their area, or find a compassionate, thoughtful person in their life that they can share these things with and begin to kind of do this next step in their journey. But it is possible. And have
compassion for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to just ask you one more question before we wrap up.
Right.
We use the term food addiction. I'm just curious, is there really such a thing as food addiction? I know you just wrote you have a book that just came out, Fighting Fatflammation. You talk a lot about it on Twitter. So what is your thought on food addiction?
It's a real thing, okay? Food addiction is real. They've done studies, there's research out there showing that food addiction is very real. Changes take place in the brain, the very same changes that take place with morphine and cocaine, okay? So know that. That's very important. It's a real thing, and it's not your fault. Not only that, the food manufacturers have created slick combinations of powerful foods that trick the brain and they fool the tongue and set up, what we're seeing now across our country, a food addiction, where people love the food they're eating, of course, and have trouble stopping eating it. So it's not your fault, but like I said earlier, we can take control, we can make a choice and do things differently. It's all about action.
I love it. Great advice. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Well, thank
we're
you.
ready to meet our final guest, Mama Rosemarie. But before we do, Dr. Boyer, we're going to hear one more song from Kelly Clarkson called In the Blue, courtesy of Sony Music.